Alright, let's talk about some book series that I DNF'd and why. Now, this is of course my personal opinion, so if you loved the books, I'm super happy for you, I'm glad you loved them, but these are my reasons why I did not. The first series is going to be the Lightlark series. Now, I have the first two books here. I've only read the first one. I bought the second one before I had read the first one, so I didn't know that I wasn't gonna like it. The plot sounded really intriguing, and it really did have a good premise. I do think that the writing itself was actually pretty good. The descriptions were very vivid. I could see everything really clearly. So I do think there's definitely potential for the writing in this series. That was one of the only good things, though. My main problem with the book, I think, was the main character. Her name is, I think her name was Isla, something like that. I hated her. The reason why I hated her was because she felt like such a flat character. There was absolutely nothing to her. She was literally just a cardboard cutout, most basic character you can ever imagine. She was always so whiny and complaining about her trauma when she really didn't have any, in my opinion. Like, I just remember this one scene from the book where she was talking about her training, where she was forced to hang up on a really high tree and like hang from a branch for 5 hours, and then her arm popped out of socket, and then she was punished for screaming. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Another thing I didn't like about her was the fact that a lot of her character just felt, how do I explain this? Seductive. That's the word. Her whole character felt very seductive, and I get that's like part of her character, you know. It's been a while since I read the book. I read it probably about a year ago at this point, but I just remember feeling very uncomfortable with her character and the fact that she always wore super revealing clothes, stuff like that. I just didn't like it. It didn't sit right with me. She could have been a good character. She just wasn't. I also didn't like her love interest in this one, Grimm. He just also felt so boring. Dark, broody character. As soon as he popped up in the book, I just knew he was gonna be the love interest, and I just did not like his character at all. I don't remember exactly what it was I didn't like about him. I just remember not liking him at all. And though I haven't read the rest of the series, I can bet that she's gonna end up with him. I did like Oro better. He still wasn't that great either, but I remember liking him a lot more than Grimm, but I don't think she's gonna end up with Oro. Another thing that I disliked about the book was, and this is gonna be a huge spoiler if you haven't read it, was it had one of my least favorite tropes in a book, which is the main character's best friend betraying them. Isla's best friend, Celeste, was actually like the villain the whole time and was manipulating her, and it was revealed at the end, and I really didn't like it because as I was reading the book and I was reading about their friendship, I was so happy because good female friendships, I love that in a book. And I was so happy that with everything else that I disliked about the book, that we were getting a good female friendship. And then they just had to go and ruin it, and I was so sad. The plot itself, it was a good premise. Like, the plot did sound interesting. That's what made me pick the book up, but it was very poorly executed. I remember thinking about a lot of aspects about the world building, specifically about how one thing would be said earlier in the book and then it would be contradicted later by another thing. It's like the author could never fully decide what she wanted to do with the world and the plot and all of this stuff. Like, maybe it just needed another round of editing to catch all of those plot holes, because there was a lot. I don't remember any specific ones, but I do remember that it had a lot of plot holes, and I was constantly having to go back and look at stuff because I was like, wait, I thought she said something different earlier and now she's saying this? It didn't make sense. So all in all, I might read the second book just because I have it, but I don't recommend the series. It was okay, but there's a lot of books with other similar premises and very, very similar characters that are just way better done. The next series was the Red Queen series. Now, I did really like the first book, actually. I've read the first book, I think, twice now, and I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a solid fantasy series, classic YA, and I really liked the first book. And so I was super excited for the rest of the series. And then the second book happened. I did unfortunately read this whole thing, all 440 pages, and I wish I had just DNF'd it. The plot was so slow going. 100% the definition of second book syndrome. It was so boring. I don't even know what else to say, honestly. It was so boring. And I just completely DNF'd the rest of the series after that because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So the first book was good. The second book sucked. And I do have the third book, but I'm not going to read it at this point. If the third book is better, let me know. If you liked the second book, don't tell me that the third book was good. But if you didn't like the second book, then tell me if the third book was good or not, because I need to know whether I should continue it. But honestly, it's been so long at this point that I would have to reread the second book as well to remember what happened, and I really don't want to reread it, so I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, I think this is going to be the last book that I'm going to talk about for this video. But the last book I DNF'd was Dance of Thieves. Now this book is hard to explain kind of why I DNF'd it, because I would go back and read it again. I got about 133 pages in, and the reason I DNF'd this was because I feel like I was lied to about the plot. I was told it was going to be enemies to lovers and like thieves and runaways and forced proximity, proximity. And we got that for maybe 100 pages. I think the main problem I had with this book was that they became lovers way too fast. Like, it was happening within the first 100 pages, and I can't do that. It's like, if you promise me a book with enemies to lovers, they cannot becoming lovers in the first third of the book. It shouldn't be happening until the last third of the book. There should be no lovers happening because they're supposed to be enemies. They can't go straight to being lovers, and I hate it when I'm reading a book expecting enemies to lovers, and then I'm just getting like enemies for 100 pages and then they're straight to lovers for the rest of the book. I don't like that. Yeah, I do think I would go back and read this book again now that I know what I'm actually getting into, but I just felt betrayed reading this because it was not what people had told me it was. Anyways, that is all of the books that I could think of right now that I unfortunately did DNF. If you enjoyed any of these series, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to hear your thoughts about them. Let me know if you liked them or didn't like them, and thank you for watching.